Thank you to our sponsors for today's video, Amber, StarCharge, and Nokian Tyres. Amber offers a modern extended warranty for your Tesla's battery and more without the burden of long-term contracts or upfront payments. Check out the link in the description below to browse their plan options and get started with a free over-the-air diagnostic check. This video is also brought to you by StarCharge, the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world, and they are also a provider of residential or commercial battery storage and microgrid solutions. This video is also brought to you by Nokian Tyres, a leader in safety and sustainability. Maximize performance and efficiency with their made in USA all-season tires and their dedicated Hakkapeliitta EV winter line from the inventor of the winter tire. Learn more at nokiantyres.com/EV.
Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video with the R1S second generation. That's right, the facelift or refresh or whatever you want to call it. The all new, but not all new, but partially new R1S. We have today kind of the base model, the LFP battery, the standard range with the dual motor system. This is what's going on today's range test. We're out here in Wellington, Colorado at Maverick. Keep wanting to call it Come and Go because that's what it used to be called, but it has been rebranded, and we're out here just after the rainstorms. I think they're all gone. They've gone that way. So I want to give you guys a proper range test with some properly decent weather now, actually. So as I am standing here recording, this is near the end of the day, but we have one more thing to squeeze in. We've had this vehicle for only today. This is the 5th video I have done with it. We had Colton doing kind of a build analysis. Me and Kyle compared the old R1 to the new R1. I did a 10% challenge, charging session 0 to 100, and right now we are charging to 100 yet again. This LFP has been through it all, but guess what? It's LFP. It is fine being full charge. In fact, it does need occasional full charges. So what is there to know about this thing? Well, 92.5 kilowatt hours usable is what I've been told, and I think that's probably pretty accurate based on the charging session earlier. I gave it like 99 kilowatt hours. With a lot of energy, used for cooling and stuff. It's summer, but it's not actually that hot today. So it's actually a pretty solid day to get a pretty accurate reading on all these tests. It's been like 70s, a little bit of breeze here and there, but I've been able to avoid the weather for most everything. This thing priced as tested around $81,000. The new R1S starts at $75,900, but then you add the white paint and the wheels, and now you're at like 80. The tri-motor is another new powertrain, and then there's that, which is, that makes so much noise. The tri-motor is a new powertrain, and the quad motor, we don't even know all the details for that or pricing, but tri-motor is like over 100 grand for the R1S, so hey, quad motor is going to be more than that. This thing's starting to look like a pretty good deal, and I think this dual motor is going to be the sweet spot for a lot of people. It is, yes, one of the less expensive Rivians, although it is still sort of an expensive car, but honestly, I do think you get a lot for the money. I mean, we've talked about the Kia EV9 quite a bit on this channel, and that's cheaper than this as a starting price, but by the time you spec the Kia up, I feel like it's starting to look like this price, and there's a lot of things I like about this more. The ride quality has been improved. We'll talk about that when we get on the highway a bit more, but new suspension setup, that's just a bit more dialed in. The MPH is a bit more dialed in. It's not perfect. I do have a whistle coming from the windshield seal, I think, but Rivian did want to point out this is a demo car. That's why we only have this today. That's why we are squeezing in 5 videos today, because this has to go back to Rivian tomorrow morning. And yeah, it's been used to show people the truck, test drives, like so many things have been done in this car. Only about 1700 miles, so it's not actually that heavily used mileage wise, so the powertrain should be about perfect for this test. But I mean, there's things like someone just shoved the window switch through the door. But on that note, I should mention, like, the door doesn't feel quite as premium as I think the R1 used to. Maybe small nitpicks here and there, but just the sound of the door, even, it's not bad. Like, it's serviceable, but man, after having the old R1 next to this one with the door slams, go check out the video on Out of Spec Detailing for a really in-depth comparison of how the build quality and stuff is. But just a few minor things. Software is a bit improved. The electrical architecture of the whole car is definitely improved. There's far fewer ECUs, a few miles less of wiring. They've just made a bunch of small things. Even how the vehicle is made, the structural rigidity, a lot of things not many people will notice. We do have new lighting signature, which is funny because not many people would notice that either, but all of you Rivian enthusiasts know this is the new bar of light. Dynamic adventure lighting is what's here. New headlights, new stadium light as they call this. And what's strange is, so you have 10 LED segments, actually double stack on the front here. They're supposed to be showing the charging indicator. That is turned on in the settings. I double checked and it was showing it earlier. Now it's not showing it. This truck just has a couple bugs here and there, and this would also be showing the indicator. There's also 10 segments in the back here. The back tail light bar seems to be the same as the old one, just with the addition of these segments. And then, sorry to keep jumping back and forth, but the front also has turn signals down here now. The old one, you know, this used to blink amber and then back to DRLs when the turn signal was off. Now the turn signals are down here, which is much better. That means the DRLs can stay on. Everyone's happy. A little bit of a change right here. This is now matching the front. This is also turn signal. And a new camera right here, which used to be hiding right here. So you'll start to sort of picture the differences. I know initially you like saw this one next to the old one and you're like, what? And it's like, yeah, corporate needs you to find the difference between these two images. And you're like, they're the same picture. But I really do think this is just nice, subtle improvements all around. We are nearly done charging. What we were doing is charging to 100% state of charge, and we are going to drive up north and then east, which conveniently works with this weather situation because the weather's all kind of south now. So waited that out nicely. It's a bummer. That means I'm not going to get home till probably midnight, but just wanted to get you guys a really proper test in ideal weather conditions. Sure, if we absolutely had to, we could have done it in inclement weather, but it's just nice to know, like, what is this thing really capable of if all the cards are in its favor. 270 miles is the EPA estimate for mileage. We know we're not going to hit that on the highway. They just simply don't go to their EPA on the highway. It's not like the German cars that seem to exceed EPA. Again, EPA testing is a whole series of videos. You could do an entire docu-series on that because there's a lot of different ways with the testing and like optimizing your car for EPA, but then it's not necessarily real world, but then maybe it over exceeds in the city. That's a whole rabbit hole in and of itself. But go see how far this goes. I'm gonna guess 230 miles. I think Kyle and Alyssa and Colton were guessing 240-ish, 250 maybe. We'll see. Selfishly, a shorter range test might be good for me, but I'm gonna give this everything I can. So we're gonna set it in its most eco-friendly setting, AC and all that, about 68 to 72, depending on what's comfortable. No heated or cooled seats on, even though this does have that, which is nice. Heated steering wheel, we'll keep that off as well. We just keep all unnecessary loads off. All right, charging just completed. We are going to hit the road. New charging port does have a charging stop button now, which is new, but also removed the light that surrounded this whole thing. So now that's the only little light. And in the daytime, that's not super easy to see. Just small thing to note right there. But we are jumping back in the vehicle. We have all loads shut off, so we're not burning any climate. But I did have it kind of climated while it was charging, so it's actually pretty nice in here. What we do on these trips, set it to auto, anywhere from 68 to 72. Honestly, I'm not really going to need it very drastic at all. It's basically ambient, 73 degrees outside. As we start the test anyways. It's going to get cooler because we are heading into the evening, but hey, it's still a nice summer night and the wind has really died down. It's like the calm after the storm. Very interesting. Here's the new key situation that you tap there. That's how you start it. But yeah, all-purpose mode is your drive mode for efficiency, and all you got to do is lower the ride height to, yes, lower the ride height. Okay. Yeah, all-purpose and low is effectively your eco mode. There's no actual eco mode in here. So, by the way, I updated all the tires to factory recommended tire pressures as well. They weren't updated on the screen right there, but it does tell you when it was last refreshed. So that should update itself. By the way, there's also the new cameras that look really, really, really good. Let's see, there's the front view, there's the back view. It's just like crystal clear. We even have cameras up here now that are much more visible at this point. So cameras drastically improved, a lot of things drastically improved, but we're gonna go out on the highway, just see how far we can go at 70 miles an hour. All right, we are easing up to the highway. We have zero traffic. That's one other benefit of timing this test for evening, is just zero traffic. It's kind of great. So easing up to actually 71 indicated. That is, which of course, cruise control defaults to 75 because that's the speed limit. But 71 indicated is actually 70 GPS. I've already verified that today, so that's what we will be cruising at this evening. And everything else is set to go. You can see the front motor is the only one operating. There's actually a disconnect, so the rear motor will not be operating during this drive. And we will turn on highway assist here, which is mostly working, and then that changes speed as well. I feel like I've already spent the day ranting about highway assist, so I'll try to keep that to a minimum in this video, but it's not my favorite system. It's great when it works, but the issue is when it doesn't work, which is increasingly common. Anyways, clutch disconnect. So same overall mechanism as the outgoing R1, more or less, but the way it disconnects is actually, I think the logic's all handled on the inverter side. It's just less noticeable to the average consumer. That's just one of the things they did to improve the whole MPH in here. You know, moving the AC compressor to a point further up in the nose, away from the cabin, so when the AC's cranking, you're not drowning with noise in here. Ride quality is substantially improved as well, and it's noticeable. I say that because me and Andreas just road tripped the outgoing R1S, the dual motor max pack, but basically the outgoing earlier generation R1, totally great vehicle still, but on the highway and even around town, just at times it would kind of like porpoise. It would just have trouble settling over bumps. Whereas this one, I can tell there's definitely been some improvements. And me and Andreas drove that about 1,700 miles in 2 days. Still rode fine, but like I think the rear passengers are what would notice that the best. So if your kids are suspension aficionados, they'll appreciate you getting the new R1S. By the way, in case you're wondering, I did also reset the trip computer. I wonder why the tires are not updating, but I did just set them all to manufacturer specs, so just ignore that because I double checked, verified. But yes, the trip computer has been reset, so we'll be monitoring that, of course. I also just checked the weather and the windy app, and things look pretty promising. I think basically all the weather has shifted, gone past us. It was actually a good call to delay the test, even though I'm bummed. But it should be actually a gorgeous sunset, and got trains out here. The Rivian doesn't do automatic lane changes, but it just reconnected automatically after my lane change, which is great. Yeah, things look pretty good with the weather, and the windy app, that's what we use to check wind. Very minimal wind, about 5, maybe a peak of 10-mile-an-hour gusts every once in a while. But it does seem to be kind of coming from the east, which means a little bit of a headwind on the way out, and then probably a little bit of a tailwind on the way back. So we do this test loop style just so we counteract, you know, the elevation changes, as well as sometimes the wind. If there's a lot of wind, it's more effective, but there's really not much wind at all. In fact, it should get even more calm as we go on. So actually an impressive day for a test, believe it or not. Well, we always say when we get to the Bison, that marks the border of Colorado and Wyoming. At above 90%, it's going to be a long test. And well, here we are, just below 90%. I don't think it's going to be that long of a test. On the bright side, the weather is, well, brighter. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. 66 degrees. I mean, I guess it could be a little bit warmer, but I am pretty happy. It's very comfortable in here. This does not have the electrokinetic roof, by the way. That is going to be a new option on, I guess, some R1s. I don't know if it's even, I don't know if you can even put it on the LFP, you know, small range battery. Maybe that's reserved for the nicer ones. But yeah, just a few notes about options. Doesn't have the electrokinetic roof, doesn't have the premium sound system, has the standard Rivian sound system, which is serviceable. Not great, not bad, just okay. In fact, it does actually definitely need some EQ help. Apple Music will eventually be coming to Rivian pretty soon, which will be nice, but there we go. that's kind of my official EQ recommendation for anyone who's curious. That seems to do pretty good service to the sound system. There's definitely some fatiguing frequencies around 4K. Anyways, wow, I'm really getting to the nerds with you guys. But as far as the range test goes, we're doing okay. Not going to be class leading, but let's put it this way: it's a small battery, 92.5 kilowatt hours for a 3-row SUV. Definitely small. That's substantially smaller than everything else we've tested. In fact, this is the new smallest battery in the 3-row SUV. There's Wyoming, welcome, haha. But yeah, not the best efficiency so far, but keep in mind we have climbed about 1,000 feet in elevation, so that number should go up, I think, later on in the test, in theory. But going okay so far, not too shabby. This thing just really does ride well. And you know, the most efficient method, like I said, is ride height low, but if you were to boost that to standard ride height, it would ride even better. So I mean, anyone who road trips this thing would be very happy to. I've been happy to. But the yeah, small battery for the size, so we're not expecting anything crazy with the range, but charging's been improved. A new software update has come out recently that has been interesting. We've been testing it, like I said, all day. I think updates here. So 2024.23.30 is the update, and it said some things in the update details that I just don't know are true. There's no lane change on command. It's just not an option, even though it says it is, I think. And I mean, maybe that's something turned off because it's a demo vehicle. It does have the 80-mile-an-hour max speed limit, which is, you know, interesting. So I don't know which of these things are within that, so maybe that's a caveat, but yeah. It specifically calls out saying iPhones on the wireless charger would somehow pull up the wallet app, and they said they fixed that, and it hasn't. It still happens. They also said they fixed, I don't remember. There's a few things in there that seem to be fixed or quoted to be fixed, but just actually weren't. So that's a bit disappointing, but you can read through the notes if you really genuinely care. I don't know if anyone really cares, but we like to get nerdy into these things, and hey, updates are cool. Rivian at least has done a lot of cool updates, including like all these screens, all these graphics, lots of cool things in this truck. And the new improved computer system, which is running behind the scenes, powering all this, is genuinely fantastic. It's super powerful, which means it should last for many years and years of updates in theory. So it's very snappy right now. I think it could even be a little bit snappier, but maybe that's something they could do with software, you know, code refinement. There is such a thing as code efficiency, algorithm efficiency, all those things, the graphics, how they're run and rendered and stuff. So lots of fun things, but hey, they worked with Unreal Engine with Epic Games for that. I'm a big Fortnite player, so yay for Epic Games. I can't believe I just said that out loud, but wow, what a beautiful night for a range test. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I'll be checking in at basically the major 25% divisible increments. So 75, 50, 25, and of course the bottom of the pack. Here we are, folks, 75% check-in. And so maybe I already mentioned this in the video, but this rated range is literally that. It's just a rated range based on the EPA. So that's really not realistic range. What's probably more realistic in this case is seeing that we've gone 60 miles, which means, I mean, it's hard. We haven't like done the loop or like counteracted elevation and stuff, but in theory, maybe we could do 60 times 4, which is 240 miles. That would be pretty great. We'll have to see, but I'll keep an eye on that. Our miles per kilowatt hour has definitely gone up because we've, I guess, gone back down in elevation since we kind of crested near Cheyenne, Wyoming. Okay, here we go. This is our exit to turn around, right about 60% state of charge. Just grabbing a little bit of regen here. I didn't really talk about regen settings, but it's not much of a consideration on these tests because we're just so statically at, also there was a complete false alarm. I was almost over the right line and it said I was over the left line. Just a few weird things with this truck, man. And again, Rivian said this is a demo vehicle, maybe not the most representative, but also I don't want to only get, you know, media vehicles that are thoroughly inspected and you know, gone over with a fine-tooth comb. We do want to have just regular Rivians to test, so this is what we're working with. But yeah, we don't really care to have regen on much at all. And this truck, in fact, Kyle thinks there may be some sort of bug in the system, because regen only seems to show standard or low, when I think there should be a high regen. I thought maybe it was because you know, needing a quad motor, extra motors. I don't really know. That was a theory, because when me and Andreas did the race to Vegas, we also, I don't think, had high regen. I could be misremembering, because you also don't get lowest suspension. There's just a few things you don't necessarily get. But we are ramping back up on the highway here, easing our way up to 70 once again. But yeah, the driver assistance, like I said, I was having some weird quirks with this truck, SUV, whatever. I just keep calling Rivians trucks. There we go, 71 indicated. Throw back on, nope. Okay, highway assist, come on. There we go. I was getting some weird phantom braking earlier, and also some moments when it wasn't actually working. We'll see if it does that on the way back at all. But yeah, we're losing daylight. Not really much of a sunset that I was hoping for, but it is super hazy. I don't really know why. There could be, typically it's because of like wildfires and like smoke, but it also could be weather related. I don't know. We're not here for meteorology. We're here for Rivian range testing. But turned around at only 104 miles or so, but we lost some elevation as well. So this is guesstimating 14 miles remaining back at the charger. That has also gone up a bit. So I'm curious to see if that's going to be conservative or not. I've actually seen both examples with these Rivians, like the R1S dual motor from the previous generation that had the max pack. On our way into Vegas, it was showing me and Andreas like a little bit of a buffer, you know, a few miles buffer. And then we ended up having to like hyper mile it, doing 45 or 50. I mean, granted, not high speed highways, but turning off AC, like freaking out because we were like arriving dead. And then on the way back from Vegas, it did the opposite. It was like, oh, you're not going to make it. And then suddenly it was like, you have a buffer. And then we ended up making it with like 8%. So 14 miles remaining, that should be about 5%. So I'll see what that buffer does on the maps here. But like I said earlier, we can easily loop once, maybe twice, a couple small mileage loops back near the charger that are very easy to do, just to give us a little bit more at highway speed. But fortunately, we haven't had to dip below 70 miles per hour once. This is like as kosher of a test as you really can get so far anyways. 70 degrees Fahrenheit right now, like temperature's perfect, weather perfect. This is going to be as exemplary as possible. Is that the right word? I'm losing my mind. I need more coffee. So we just finished the construction zone, and I had highway drive assist the entire time, which is interesting. We did have to drop down to about 68 instead of 71, but I don't expect that to really have much of an issue. I can finally pass this semi. But yeah, highway drive assist, I guess because it's pre-mapped for this direction, worked. But on the other side of the cone, still on this side of the road going the other direction, I had no highway drive assist that whole way coming out here. So yeah, just that's part of the challenge. I feel like it's a fairly competent system. You have a capacitive wheel, which is the absolute correct way to do a wheel. You don't have to put torque in with your hands, just basically touch it. That's how it knows you're there. And it's fine when it works. It's just frustrating when it doesn't. That's what's kind of a mixed bag. But Rivian has, I think, pledged to do a lot with that system here in the future. We can even see in the settings here, driver assistance. Rivian Autonomy Platform is what it is now called. So excited to see where that goes. I mean, there's a lot of, I think, potential behind it. It does work pretty well. The visualizer works quite well. Like it's definitely up there, and it's done very well in our standardized ADAS testing, the Hogbag challenge that we run a lot of cars through. So we'll have to run the new Rivian in it at some point. We don't have time with this one, obviously. I'm literally losing daylight. It's been about a 12-hour day so far. Still not done yet. But glad we got a bunch done with this thing, but we'll see how far we get with the range test. The mileage does keep climbing with the guesstimate on arrival. Again, I wish this was a percentage, not a miles, because that's not really how many miles I could go. That's just not the case. That's I've already ranted about that. Enough said. Onwards. This is 50% checking in. We have done 125 miles. So, I mean, we could do 250. We'll see. We do have a little bit more elevation flux to go. But hey, if this does 250, honestly, I'm pretty impressed. The percentage that it did of the EPA rating in the outgoing R1S that I last tested with the max pack was 86% of the EPA range. It did 346 miles out of 400. With this, perhaps, if we see 86%, that should be about 235 miles or so, give or take, a little bit less maybe. So I'm hoping to see that. That'd be awesome. But that's why I'm testing it out. All right, well, how about that? Right as we take the loop-de-loop thing to get onto 25 South back towards Wellington, we hit 25% state of charge. So, I'd tell you my stats, but I am focused on driving. A few miles back, highway assist gave up again. Here's the thing, when it says road information unavailable, it makes you take control again. That's fine, like I'll take control, but I wish there was a way to cancel highway drive assist and then bring it back to just normal cruise control. At the moment, there's no way to do that. You have to fully cancel it and then go back and manually set cruise control. It doesn't know what speed you want. So, I don't know, maybe it's nitpicking again, but I feel like that would be a great thing for Rivian to remedy. But here we are, 25% state of charge. Checking in, we've done 177 miles. So really not too bad, 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour on average. And we've used 70 kilowatt hours of energy as per measured by the truck SUV thing. So that's pretty much it. And here's the thing, on the navigation, look at that, 34 miles 34 miles expected range on arrival. Mind you, when I was heading out, 75% state of charge or so 50% ago, it said I wouldn't even make it. It was telling me to stop and charge for like 15 minutes somewhere. So that's way off. Like, this is effectively 12-13%. And so I don't know what's exactly causing that. I know it calculates elevation and stuff, like it's trying to account for some things, but maybe it's over accounting. I'm not sure. Either way, it's extremely conservative. Granted, I'd rather it be conservative than the opposite and give someone false hope and then they realize they're not going to make it, but that is significantly off. So I could have actually gone another exit, maybe even two, but at the time the Rivian was like, I don't know if you can make it. So pretty wild. We have gone back up in elevation a bit and now we're going to go back down. Maybe it just like doesn't realize how much we really can use going downhill. I don't know where the disconnect is. Really no idea. It'd be super cool if someone from Rivian told us how the calculations are done, but maybe that's a proprietary algorithm. I don't know. Either way, we will definitely be doing a loop of some sort substantially back near the exit. All right, well, I missed the first low battery thing. That came at 50 miles indicated, which again is just a rated range based on the EPA rating, so not really realistic. But yeah, here we are at our exit where we would normally make the charger. And yes, it was off by 15%, or I guess technically more than that, because originally it said I couldn't make it. So yeah, that's substantially off. I mean, it says 40 miles of range to play with now, so I guess I'll go loop back onto the highway, but it really not a big deal. It doesn't really affect the test much because the conditions are optimal. Down to 61 degrees here, but we were up to 70 back when we originally turned around, so pretty great average temperatures overall, and highway speeds the entire way. We've had no traffic, very brief construction slowdown for like 68 miles an hour, so really, and no wind. Like, This is rare. I feel like usually every range test there's like a little bit of things, which we do of course mark in the notes, but yeah, not bad at all. So let's see how much more we can pull out of this thing. We would like to pull in dead, but maybe not fully dead. I just don't know exactly what the LFP does extremely low. Like, I'm not here to fully investigate the buffer below zero without Kyle being ready to tow me out if I needed to. So we're just gonna arrive with ideally 0 and 0. 0%, 0 miles remaining. That's the goal. All right, just missed it again, but I guess battery very low came at 30 miles remaining, which didn't last very long. Those warnings are like blinking, you miss it, which is interesting. A lot of other cars, I guess most other cars would have the warning up far too long, maybe. Some even have the warning blocking valuable things on the screen, so I don't know which approach I prefer. But yeah, you can definitely tell where we were going downhill and then going back uphill. That's just kind of the nature of, once again, another little loop. There we go, another loop happening. We just hit 5% state of charge, which looks like is when this power limitation up here on the power bar, if you can see that, that's when that kind of sunk in there. So heading back to the charger again, and we might do this loop again. Just trying to get the last little bit out of this battery. Yeah, getting close. I think we will be close to 230 to 40 miles, something like that, which is right along the lines with some of the people's guesses on Twitter. All right, and just looped back to the charger exit, then back to this exit one more time, and we are hitting, yep, 2% state of charge, and just a couple miles left. By the way, wanted to mention you have all this custom ambient lighting now, which I think I maybe mentioned that earlier in the video, but I can switch this to like green for Forest Valley, which is barely green. We have Glacier Fog, which is a little bit blue. There's also like a purple one. It's kind of cool. So that's pretty sweet, the ambient lighting situation. I do think I like the I actually really like the Pacific Sunset one. And then there's also the like smart automatic brights, which is part of the Matrix LED system embedded in the new headlights. So as I turn, it also lights up a little bit more of the edge there. And then yeah, if/when the law gets updated and allows them to have full functionality on the public roads. Oh, battery almost empty. I caught a warning this time. So I guess that's 5 miles remaining. So we got 50 miles and then 30 miles and then 5 miles. Those seem to be the increments for the actual warnings. But anyways, yeah, I think the lighting, if it ever gets legal on American roads, means, of course over in Europe they have matrix lighting all the time, but it's really cool. It means it would cut out like a corner if the oncoming car was coming. So I'd still have brights on my side of the road. It would just cut out, you know, the side that car is on, which just makes perfect sense. But you know, they have to rewrite these ancient laws. But we are getting down to the very bottom of the battery. Still decent power, I would say. And I guess we are, yep, it's saying 1 mile remaining when I arrive. Oh, just hit 1%, about 2 miles before we exit. So yeah, should be right about perfect. We'll roll right in there with super low state of charge. And it's funny seeing this last 15-minute graph with the back and forth on the highway, a little bit of uphill, a little bit of downhill, as expected. There we go, 0% on the highway at 70 miles per hour. That's always awesome when that happens. And we should have just enough to roll into the charger here, so that's looking pretty good. So yeah, 70 miles an hour exiting the highway. I mean, we were able to keep it at 70 almost the entire time. And it's 241 miles, pretty much right on the nose. We'll roll into the charger here. But yeah, there's no frontage roads even needed in this test, folks. That is literally just right about perfect. Love it when that happens. 2.6-ish miles per kilowatt hour, and we pulled about 91 kilowatt hours out of the battery according to the car. Like I said, I'm not going to go way below 0 or 0 because I just don't know what the buffer's like. I'm not willing to do that while I have no backup plan. Kyle's actually completely without his voice, maybe super sick. Not really sure what's going on with Kyle, but he is not here to rescue me. So just gonna roll into the charger here with 0%, 1 mile remaining. Pretty much close enough there. But yeah, 241 miles is really pretty good. And literally right as I'm about to get out is when it dips down to 0 miles, 0. That's just utterly perfect. All right, well, there you have it, 241 miles. Are you surprised or impressed or disappointed? Curious on y'all's thoughts. I'm honestly fairly impressed. 2.66 miles per kilowatt hour is, well, it was probably about 2.6 by the time I got off the highway before all that regen. But yeah, that's generally good. Like some of the best I've seen in R1S. And even, like I said, statistically compared to the R1S max pack of the outgoing R1 generation, this is an improvement percentage-wise. That one did 346 miles out of the EPA 400. This one did a little bit better, like 88%, something like that, of the EPA range. So yeah, I knew I wasn't going to get 270 miles, but 240 is pretty close. So I'm happy. I'm thrilled with that. And hey, the charging animation's finally working. This has been so intermittent, but this is so cool. I'm so excited that's working. Okay, well, thank you guys for watching another Out of Spec Reviews video. We'll see you on another one very soon. I gotta get this thing back to charge, get it washed up, get it back to Rivian. Thanks again, Rivian, for letting us use this. What a day. It's been 14 hours since I started. A couple hours left.